Olá, olá Thierry,
Olá, Marco, bom dia.
olá a todos. This is the first circle. We are coming back to the Innovations for the Future circle. And for today, we have this constellation, me and Thierry. It's a pleasure to be here with you, Thierry. You made, I think, all the first circles 3 years ago. And that was very beautiful when we met. And for me, it's very special also to be here with you and holding the space for all of us. And I want to make the invitation for, we go in English. We are both English speakers in this context, and we go in English. I make the invitation for all the community to come to this circle. It's Friday at 9:30. It's a 1-hour circle, and every game world builder, every entrepreneur that is has this will of changing the modern culture for a more regenerative and responsible culture is welcome. And to bring the stories, to bring the challenge, to bring the celebration, and for us to meet each other, to talk about what we are doing, to see the patterns, what is not working, what is working. Yeah, just come and we go for the conversation. Today, we are, as some people asked for us to go and talk a little bit about what is innovations for the future. We are starting this circle with that question: what is innovation for the future? And Nitsa also put his voice in a recording. He's in a Telegram group, the link. Also, Maria Coelho did the same. You can also see the conversation that we had 3 years ago about what is innovations for the future, also a recording. And we will have this, my voice and the voice of Thierry also about that. So this is the setting up of the circle, and we go together. Thierry, let's go for a check-in.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, you want to start with the check-in?
Yeah, I'm really happy to be back in connection. Regularly, I checked on the Telegram channels, but then you just go back into your own other activities where you connect with people. But I always felt that it's important to look at the big picture in Portugal and work together. So I'm really happy to be back with you.
Thank you.
I feel like it's a big family, and I'm just a guest. Let's be honest.
Can you say more about that?
No, I'm from Holland, and I came here 5 years ago. So I'm realizing that it's also important to be grateful that I can be here, and that it's finding out, okay, how to live. That's, I think, part of simple innovation of the future, how you can live in harmony with nature and also the people who came here before.
Yes, and you are living in Algesur now. It's your place of living, meaning that you are living in Portugal.
Yeah, like legally, I'm still registered in Holland, but I feel I'm here, and I'd like to be native. That was actually last year I did a vision quest. Was my question. Okay, just ask nature, where do I belong now? And I planned to be there for 2 weeks to a vision quest, but I stayed for 4 months and nothing moved. And, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, thank you for bringing yourself to the circle. My check-in. I'm glad to start this circle again. I miss the circle. I miss to be in circles, like with other game world builders, with other people that, like me, are challenging the status quo of the modern culture. And I'm very glad, because I have the opportunity of speaking what is alive in me, and what are my struggles, and what are my victories, and and share this with all of us. And for me, this circle has also this quality of a reflect time. Like coming to the circle brings this quality of reflection of my action, of my way of being in life. And I'm really glad to have this moment again, and to have this moment connecting with this greater field of people that are challenging the status quo. That is very important to me, and I feel glad about that. And I feel fear because there is so much resources and money coming for the next decade, and if we these people that are designing next cultures, if we are not together, I'm afraid that we will lose the opportunity. And there is an amazing projects, more than several thousand projects in Portugal, from north to south and east islands, that has this flame of something that could be important for our future, like regeneration forest, like recovering old village, constructing eco village or retreat centers, or projects that change how we can do scientific investigation, or universities, or the municipalities that are working to bring organic foods to the children. And this kind of stuff is already happening all around. And there is thousands of these projects. And I have this fear that if we don't come together, if we not see that we are doing this work, if the system don't have the ability of self-awareness, we will lose something. And we will stay with this vision of I'm alone, and I don't meet my peers. And that is not true. We are not alone. For my calculation, we are at least 100 to 200 people that are doing this, 1,000 to 2,000 people that are doing this, building new game worlds, building new Gaia game worlds, meaning game worlds and projects that are friend with Gaia, that are aligned with Gaia. And I have this strong fear. And my anger really called me to come to this circle and to hold the space for the circle. And I'm really glad to do that. And I also notice a sadness of I know that so many things are happening right now all around the country. There is so many stories to tell. And I'm sad that some of these stories will not be here today. I really like that some amazing stories that are happening could be in the space. And let's see what happens in the next circles. That's me checking in. Thank you, Thierry.
Great.
Yeah. Let's go for the exploration of the question. What is innovation for the future to you, Thierry? You have been in this space, in these circles for almost 3 years. You have done some learning and sensing journeys, and we have been together in several places. You have connected with a lot of people around Portugal in this context of neighborhood transformation and community transformation, eco-village stuff. Maybe other fields like human development, like we had been talking before the recording start. What is innovations for you now? What is alive in you when you hear this question?
No, you know what? Just starting with the beginning, when I got the first step was inspiration. I think it was 2 years ago, and then it needs to be connected. I think that's it's very much from the nature, like the ecosystem approach. So it needs to be connected, needs to be life-giving, and not disrupting. I mean, it's very very general, but I start with that. And what I saw a bit last year, you know, I came up with this idea that we need some kind of local currency. But then, you know, I ran into trouble. And one thing I didn't realize fully was that there is a right time for everything. And I got a better picture. That was one of my questions I started with last year also. Okay, what's a bigger timeline? Because I see we're in a huge transformation, like basically a change to a new time. So I start to accept that there's a right time for everything, and I sense I have a better understanding of the timeline, and it all starts from within. And to be honest, you know, there's a talk about frustration. I had had a lot of that, and also, you know, last year I had a couple of sensing journeys that I could see. You know, I just came back really tired, exhausted, and I could see, you know, nothing wanted to happen. The good thing is, and I'm really grateful for that, to summarize it, last year and also this year, you know, I've started to create a network. Before I didn't have that. I think that's the first step. So you need these connections, and then you need patience and a lot of wisdom to make something happening.
And how did Innovations for the Future support your path during these last 3 years?
No, I feel what it really happened. You know, it was it was a bit of a miracle, because I connected with some people of the Muji community, and then because we're interested in this, I forgot the name, the method from South Africa to get connection. Sorry?
The NNE dialogue.
Yeah. That we connected with Innovations for the Future, and you know, before it was just all outsiders, like American lady, South African lady. So that for me, that also proves in a way that you know, I just flow with the river, and when the time is right, I meet the right people. And before that, you know, I've done it before, just going to all these meetings and trying to get it happening, but it never worked. I mean, this stuff is more like a love affair, you know. When you're meant to have a relationship, you run into somebody. And
Thierry, can you say a little bit more about the project, the local coin project that you tried to implement, and in a way you'll still continue dreaming with that, and what you learned from what not worked with the project? Can you say more about that, the golden guts of what you learned?
Now, what I learned, what I already learned before I started connecting with Innovations for the Future, is in order to get it happening, you really need something on a bigger scale. So it's really nice what they're doing here in the Gaia Cooperativa in Roche Hill, but economically it doesn't have much benefit. And then last year, what I didn't realize fully is that we're still totally in the old economy. So this summer I visited the Netherlands, and you know, I could just see clearly every company is looking for employees. There's too much money for most people. So we're fully in the old economy, and then this local currency, you know, it's a nice idea, but it will never work. One other thing, what I didn't realize before, I did a lot of, somehow I was guided to do a lot of research. First, it was around the whole, like the last 2 years, started around the Corona thing. But then, interestingly enough, I got connected to some independent economists who made it very, very clearly, and I've looked deeper into that the next 2 to 3 years we will see the euro collapse, and then basically, you know, if you want it or not, you already have some kind of local currency, if you call it escudo or whatever, and unless we create some structures before it starts falling apart, it's going to be really messy. And then basically you get into a scenario, you know, look at the Great Depression. For a lot of people, it's unimaginable still now, but then they 1929 when they had first this crash, then it took another 2 years before it finally materialized in so many people being unemployed, and the only real way they could survive is by local currencies.
You are living now in Algesur, and there is so much happening there. With the Moagem, with Diogo, also with the cooperative that you talk about, the Gaia cooperative in Brazil. Can you say more about what you see that is happening in Algesur, and what is your role there? How can you see your role there with the local coins and maybe with other projects?
Now, the interesting thing again is somehow I'm just following my guidance. It goes very slow. What I still see, there's a lot of, I mean, it's natural self-interest. People start from their own needs, and they have their own business model. And I feel like the deepest shift that we're in, that we get into a different way of working and living together. Somewhere, I think this summer, I saw a documentary from the Cabo Verde, and it was this surf guy, and at some stage he apparently is very, very famous. I forgot his name. He was staying on one of the islands, and people were very poor there, like just fishermen and so. But what he shared, the beauty, what he could see, you know, people share everything, and they had a beautiful life. So that's something what I see here where I'm living. You know, last week I got a whole bag of sweet potatoes, and I have this. It's huge. I got this pumpkin, and you know, there's always something coming from the land. That kind of attitude, what I'm growing in, and what is actually moving in me is I connected with the Dutch community, and the chair lady, Margaret, she also signed up, I think, for one of the Telegram groups. But she is very, very aware. She's also a visionary. So we had a nice connection. She understands also the importance of local currency. What I could see with her and also with other people, you know, they have to earn some money to make a living. They're interested in new things, but it can only happen again when the time is right. But I found in that organization, there are about 2,000 members, that they have money for charities, for good, for doing something good. and they didn't know how to spend it. Then I saw this article. Maybe you heard of it. ReFood. This is a group that gets money with food that's not out of date and things like that at supermarkets, and they bring it to people who need the money, the food. So I connected with them, and we're finding out how to help the club in Lagos to basically get a storage place to store that food. And the next thing what we're looking at is Margaret had a piece of land for a community garden in Portimao, but she didn't have any volunteers to do anything with the garden. Then I said, you know, the people who don't have food, maybe we can connect that. So on that level, something starts to happen. And for me, that when I analyze it, it also sounds logical, because I could feel on that level, ReFood is totally volunteer. It's totally just helping other people. You're not thinking out of your own interest, but just out from the heart.
Thank you, Thierry. Thank you for sharing your perspective about what is happening in Alzur, how that is connected with Innovations for the Future, and also how the Innovations for the Future support you in the last 3 years. For me, it's a very interesting question to answer that. I will take one of the things that you talk, like this being a foreign in Portugal. That for me was one of the things that the Innovations for the Future really changed the mindset, because there was this division between the people that came abroad and live in Portugal and the people that was born in Portugal. And Innovations for the Future really changed the mindset around that. Like when we start communicating in Portuguese and English, writing the stuff in Portuguese and English, and call all the people that are in the land. Say, guy, if you live in Alzur, you have the responsibility for taking care of that place. It doesn't matter where you're born. You live there. You have that responsibility. And that is one of the things that I'm noticing that really changed in the last 3 to 4 years with the Innovations for the Future. If you go to the projects around the country, you see they already start writing all the things in English and in Portuguese. That people are speaking in the 2 languages, making invitations to all the people that live in the land to come and start doing what needs to be done. And that is one of the things that I'm noticing with this thing. For me, maybe the most important thing that Innovations for the Future is a name. Like Margaret Whitney is a leadership academic and practitioner. She has a leadership institute called Barcana Institute. And she has a model, a very interesting model of the system transformation. And she called in that system transformation, she said that there is some leadership functions. And the first leadership function is to put a name in the things. Like when we say, okay, there is these guys, like I said, maybe 1,000 to 2,000 people that are really building what could be the next cultures, whatever that means. When we say these people is Innovations for the Future, we are putting a label. We are saying, okay, there is a movement here. This is not an isolated case. This is a thread that is happening all around the country, all around the different areas of activity in health, in schools, in municipalities, in companies, in neighborhoods. It doesn't matter. It's happening. And there are people that are really eager to transform and doing projects for that. And when you said that is Innovations for the Future thing, people, oh, okay, I'm not alone. I'm part of a movement. And people start engaging and start new conversations like you did. Like when you arrive in Portugal, you arrive with the small community and you expand your community. You now know a lot of people in Admira and Alzur and in Lagos, and you have your network all around that. And some of the peoples are connected to Innovations for the Future. Some you brought, some you met in this context. And you start engaging with that, and that is a beautiful thing. And it comes from this first function of leadership, putting a name. And also, what I think innovations for the future is, for me, is a weaving. I saw that happening in Idanha Nova. I also saw that with the Eco Village movement, like when we went to the learning and sensing journey in Tamera, or when we did the learning and sensing journey to Idanha. It really connects people. We go to Idanha now and we have a group with more 200 people that are building new projects, and they are sharing stuff. They are buying machines together. They are doing projects together. That is happening. And this weaving is really necessary for people to come to the spaces and start the co-creation. That for me is one of the things of what could be a culture that is more responsible and regenerative. It's the time of the lonely hoofs really ended. It's time for teams, and when I talk about team, it's 3 or more people, and I'm talking about peers. I'm not talking about hierarchical relationships. Like I have a team and I'm the boss of the team. No, that is not a team. That is a hierarchical stuff. I'm talking about circles. I'm talking about peers working together, and there is a huge challenge in these projects that I'm seeing in Portugal, because 2/3 of them was co-founded by a couple, meaning that they are two, and in a team, a couple works like one vote. It's not two, because they work together. If you need to have a team, you need to put more two people there, or more two couples if it's couples thing. And that is a very important awareness thing. And innovations for the future is bringing that message. Guys, this is not the time for lone wolf. It ended. It's time for teams. And if we are in team, we are regenerating our energy. We are have more will. We are I'm seeing also that some of the projects, the people in the projects are near burnout or near burnout, and also has used all the resources that they have, money or whatever. This means that alone it's too hard, and we need these two things: the global community that we all belong, that could be innovations for the future is one of the possibilities, and we need the local community, like the guys in Odmira and Santiago are doing, that they are doing that beautiful, and the guys in Idanha are doing that beautiful. Means they have this local support. They know each other. They start to know each other. They start to know what that guy knows about, and what that guy, that is water. That is how to plant trees. This guys is how to move land. This is how to build natural stuff. And people are knowing and engaging in things together. Like Ivan is doing a very interesting project that's called Rede de Laboratórios Regenerativos, network of regenerative labs. And it's a people that have land and want to regenerate that land, more than 10. And they are landowners, and they came together and they are visiting each one of the properties, and they are working together to regenerate that land. That is completely different doing in the north or in the south or in Mertler and whatever. And that is a very beautiful thing that is happening on support this innovation for the future thing. And for me, it's one of the qualities that innovations for the future has, this weaving. Like innovation for the future could be an innovation platform, and could bootstrap these social labs, like is happening in Mertla or Idanha or Odmira. For me, it's very important, this social labs things, places for people to come together and experiment stuff, like you did in São Martinho with the local coin. You need to do that. You need to go and try and fail a lot, experiment a lot for learning. That is, and these social labs, it's very important. And I'm seeing that innovations for the future is bringing that to the table. And yeah, in a sense, could be this innovations platform. There is several cases here for that. And for me, innovations for the future is this weaving of next culture people that could come together to reflect on their action and see what is missing, what we need to do for this movement to have more power, not only in political sense, but more power in the ability of bringing people together and really act on the locals, on the places. Like, for me, there is a big difference, a big shift in the next culture thing. We don't came from the top down, we came from the bottom up, meaning that we start working in our places, in the places we live. We start taking care of that places, because the food, the water, the air is local, is there. If you don't work in that place, you don't have good soil, you don't have good food, you don't have water, and you need that to live. And yes, we need to be together at the global thing, and the action starts from the bottom up. It means that also, for me, the democracy and the governance needs to come from bottom up and not top down.
Yeah. Can I say something on that?
Yes, let go.
What I feel that's really starting to happen now with me is embodiment. I remember last year, you know, I joined this ULAB with a small group, and then halfway the whole thing fell apart. And last 2 months, I just finished the program by myself. Then I had some feedback from different people, and one of the breakout groups had Otto Scharmer, and he was just looking at me, and he said, "Well, it just looks like a disembodied spirit," and it really hurt me. But what I realized after all the feedback, I just had to go in retreat. So I did a vision quest. So also these disappointments I integrated. One thing that's I'm joining the ULAB now again, and I'm just going deeper, is, you know, the model is very simple. You have this U curve, and you have to let go of something, and often you don't know what you have to let go of, and then surrender, and then the new can be born. And 2 weeks ago, there was a group of Dutch business people who Margaret brought them here, so that I took them for our afternoon in Alsazur, and our plan was to do a little vision quest, a mini vision quest with them, just to let them sit on the rocks for a couple of hours and let go what they didn't want. But the funny thing, what happened is that, you know, I had this kind of little opening circle with we were with 8 people, and I started introducing what I wanted to do. And then this one guy said, "No, I'm not there." So what I could clearly see, you know, these people, they were not ready to let go. And then there's no connection. So we just had lunch, and then we went to Monte Clerico. I showed them the beach, and I showed them another beach, and it was a bit rainy, so it was not a perfect day for these kind of things anyway. Then we had dinner somewhere, and that's basically what you get if you're not really connected, if you're not really embodied. And I feel also looking at there's much more information came out last 2 years around the plans of the European Union and the World Economic Forum, and it's not all bad what happens there. I think the general direction is good, but there's totally no embodiment. I mean, it's not connected with the people. It's not connected with the here and now. There's a lot of victims happening. So I think if we can just simply be embodied and see how we can connect with each other, and also maybe we can do it right now. You know, yesterday I was looking at this stuck exercise. So I looked at all the videos. it's so simple. You know, how are you right now? Just take make a statue out of that. And what's the next step? It's so simple, but you have to be willing to do it and just really feeling, okay, where am I now?
Yeah, that is really the point. This shift of going from ego to echo, like Otto says, and to really start doing system change, awareness-based system change and system action. It's really the thing, and it's for that we need how to go to this you thing, to let go and surrender, and the new needs to have space inside of each one of us. It's why it's one of the things that Innovations for the Future is putting also in the table, is these people that are talking about regeneration and using this word, and they, like in the regenerative development, the model of regenesis, they have this 3 level of works. You need to work at the same time in yourself, in your team, and in your community. At the same time, you need to do that work. And for you to start thinking differently about places and about what needs to be done, and what is the evolution and the will and the essence and the potential of a place, you need to open yourself. You need to do the work, like you said. And it's not possible to do a different thing with the same mind, with the same structure, with the same maps of thought that we are using for creating this mess. We need new different thought maps, and that means human development. That means that we need to go to pass to the like that door in Jerusalem that you only pass without your baggage.
Yeah.
The high of the needle. You need to pass that for doing that. And that means human development. And the work of Otto, it's very important for us. It's an inspiration in Innovations for the Future. For me, it's a global partner for Innovations for the Future, the Presence Institute and Thierry.Dewijn. Because of that, because Otto is bringing that for the collective change, for the collective transformation, we need to start from the individual transformation. And also is bringing a very precious thing, because for so long time, we believed, we humanity, that if we change the leaders, the companies and the organizations will change. And that is not true. There is something in the collective, there is something that Otto called the social fields that needs to change also at the same time as the individuals are doing the transformation. And for me, that is one of the important messages that Innovations for the Future is putting on the table and saying, guys, yes, we need to do the work in the land, we need to do the work in the neighborhoods, we need to do the work in companies, and we need to do the work in ourselves. We have a lot to heal. Like you said, to let go. To let go means I have to will. I have to will my wounds. I have to will, like the guys in possibility management say that we are all adolescents in human bodies. We didn't had proper initiations to be adults and to take adult responsibility or either. Like in archiarchy, that it's the next culture name that possibility management gives. They said that archiarchy is adults, men and women, collaborative, creating collaboratively. That means that you need to be initiated and to be a really contributor of a co-creation, and to go collaboratively with the others. And I subscribe that vision of what could be next cultures. And for me, Innovations for the Future is putting that on the table. There was a very beautiful thing when we did the learning and sensing journey in Tamera that came to the table with one of the meetings with one of the older ladies. She looked to us and said, yes, Innovations for the Future, it's a very political name. And it was the first time that I hear about that. And I said, can you say more about that? Yes. And she said, yes, you are saying right now, in this moment, in the present, what is the innovations that could bring future to humanity in the earth? You are saying that is a political gesture, because you will find other people that will say that the future goes with technology or with that or with whatever. And you are saying, guys, the innovations is how we came together, how we speak and make decisions together. Yes, the technology is part of, but it's not the essence. The essence is people connecting in collaborative creations as an adults, human beings, and taking care of the children and taking care of the elders and the elders, and bring the wisdom of all the society to the space. Like Otto said, if you, like Otto has these 4 guidelines for a project that is important for the future. It says it needs to be Gaia friendly, to contribute and to have this planet thing on the table, sustainability, regeneration, whatever. It needs to be supported in teams by using dialogical frameworks like council theory or sociocracy, whatever. It needs to work with youth and elders. And if that not happen, we don't have future, because the wisdom and the hope are both in these 2 sides of the society.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that it's very important for us to really work with all the dimensions. Like that 4 guidelines, it's about regenerative development. It's about regenerative development. And for me, that is the essence of innovations for the future, as a network, a movement, an innovation platform that really connects us. We don't have an agenda, like saying you need to do that and need to do that or whatever. But we have this political vision about what could be living in a planet like ours, and what is not working in our culture, and what we need to experiment. I don't know how next culture will be. I don't think everyone knows now, like what Otto calls the society 4.0. I don't know what is that. I think nobody knows in the earth, but we need to go there. We need to experiment. We need to experiment and go there.
Yeah, and actually, I realized there was one thing I didn't mention yet. This summer when I was in Holland, I connected with one of my teachers, and she told me about somebody else. A group of people wrote a book about the future of tourism, and it was basically very much aligned also with the big agenda 2030 from the United Nations and this whole transition we're in. And so I'm actually proposing to use it in the Dutch community, so we can find out how to create future possibilities. But one thing I didn't fully realize in this whole transition is, you have people have a different mindset on it. You have the early adapters. It's like with everything, whether you just have a new kind of computer or whatever, you have the early adapters, and we're people like that. And then you have people who understand what you're talking about, and they, if you start building it, they go along with you. Then you have the conservative people who are, mainstream and practical. When they see that old stuff doesn't work anymore, they get a new phone or something like that. And then you have the people who are very conservative, who get very angry because they just want to have their own life if you try to push them. And for me, that also really helped to understand and to be more aware who I connect with and what their mindset is.
Thank you, Thierry. It's 10:21. My proposal is for us to close the space and go for a checkout. What do you think and feel about this proposal?
Yeah, that's good. I'm actually wondering if it will be helpful also for you to do this this simple, you can call it stuck exercise, but basically, you know, just to find out, we are now innovation for the future, small circle. What's the next step? What do we feel?
Yeah, thank you for that proposal. I think we can go with that in the next circle.
We can do that too. Then it's more rich, you would say.
Yeah, I can invite people to come to the space and start talking about that.
What's the next step? Yeah. Okay.
That's the next step for me. What is the next step for the game world that I'm involved in, and what is the next step of the innovations for the future? It's like these three levels that regenerative development is talking about, and we can bring that to the table. It seems like a good proposal. Let's go for checkout. I start. I'm glad about this conversation. It went for places that I was not seeing at the beginning, and it really, for me, it was like a celebration of these last years about innovation and what happened and what I learned and what comes to the table and what is the essence of innovations for the future. I'm very glad about that. I'm very glad, and I'm glad that it's recorded and other people can listen this conversation. And thank you for being at the circle and for the service that Thierry, that you made. And I also thank myself for that service that we made to all of us. And thank you. I'm glad. That is my checkout.
Thank you. When listening to you, what I felt that I'm really happy to reconnect. Basically, it's reconnect. Last year, I was so happy that I found a whole group of like-minded people who are just really on the visionary level. And then when I saw, you know, it didn't really continue, I got some disappointment. So I was just thinking, as a student of shamanism, I will just put a candle on and also just drop that disappointment in the fire to be really fresh again and really open to what wants to happen, and that we can really build from an open heart.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. See you next Friday.
Yes, and thanks so much for organizing this again. And if I can do anything with it, just let me know.
Thank you. Até já.
Até já.